Misinformation has a way of spreading like wildfire, especially when it comes to sensitive issues like the recent Texas abortion case. In the heart of this controversy, we find Kate Cox, a Texas resident whose personal story got tangled in a web of misleading claims and false assertions. The source? A popular Instagram post that misrepresented the facts of her case, distorting the reality of her situation to fit a preconceived narrative. The Instagram post boldly claimed that 90% of kids with trisomy 18 live when given proper medical care. This statement, however, is far from the truth. Studies have shown that the median survival time for the condition among babies born alive was only between 4 to 14.5 days, with a meager 5.6% to 8.4% of those born alive living to their first birthday. Trisomy 18, also known as Edwards syndrome, is a serious condition affecting the development of multiple organs and often proves lethal before birth. In Cox's case, her baby was diagnosed with full trisomy 18, a diagnosis that was accompanied by a grim prognosis. The baby may not survive to birth, and if so, will only live for minutes, hours, or days. The Instagram post continued its misrepresentation by stating that Cox does not want to go through labor or C-section for a disabled child. This is a gross oversimplification of Cox's situation. Her petition clearly stated that doctors concluded that her child would not survive beyond a few days at most. Her decision, therefore, was not about avoiding giving birth to a disabled child, but about protecting her life, health, and future fertility. Dr. Alireza Shamshirsaz, a maternal-fetal medicine specialist, pointed out that many women who continue a pregnancy with trisomy 18 end up needing a cesarean section, with all the associated risks for the mother. Misinformation, especially when it is about sensitive and personal issues, can be harmful and misleading. It's important to remember that every story has context, every situation has nuances, and every individual has their own unique circumstances. As we delve into the facts of this case, it's essential to remember that truth is often more complex than a simple social media post. Understanding the Texas abortion case requires a clear look at the facts, devoid of sensationalism and misinformation. Let's take a step back and examine the landscape of abortion laws in Texas. The Lone Star State has implemented multiple laws banning abortion, with only a few exceptions for mothers facing emergency medical conditions. However, even these exceptions can prove challenging to navigate. Doctors, hospital administrators, and health policy experts have voiced concerns over the difficulty in determining whether a situation qualifies for an exception. The legal risks involved can further complicate the decision-making process. These complexities are not a new phenomenon. Even before the landmark 1973 Roe v. Wade decision was overturned in June of 2022, Texas had already enacted a law in 2021 that banned abortions after cardiac activity was detected in an embryo. This usually occurs around 6 weeks into gestation. The only exception to this law was in the case of a medical emergency. It was against this backdrop that Texas resident Kate Cox found herself in late 2023. 20 weeks into her pregnancy, Cox, her husband, and her doctor petitioned for the enforcement of the state's abortion bans to be temporarily blocked. The reason? Continuing the pregnancy would pose serious risks to Cox's life, health, and future fertility. The petition stated that multiple factors led doctors to conclude that the baby may not survive to birth. If the baby did survive, it would only live for a very short period, minutes, hours, or days at most. Among these factors was a diagnosis of full trisomy 18, also known as Edwards syndrome, in the fetus. This condition, which involves an extra copy of chromosome 18 in the body's cells, can severely affect the development of multiple organs. It is often lethal before birth or shortly after in children who are born alive. Despite these grave circumstances, the Texas Supreme Court concluded on December 11, 2023, that Cox's petition should not be granted. The local court was directed to vacate its prior decision to the contrary. Following this, Cox left Texas to seek an abortion elsewhere. Misinformation about the case, however, continued to circulate online. A popular Instagram post made numerous misleading claims, including that 90% of kids with trisomy 18 live when given proper medical care. In reality, the median survival time for the condition among babies born alive is between 4 and 14.5 days, and just about 5.6% to 8.4% of those born alive live to their first birthday. The post also inaccurately stated that Cox did not want to go through labor or a C-section for a disabled child. But the truth, as stated in Cox's petition, was that doctors had concluded based on her specific case that her child would not survive beyond a few days at most. With the facts laid bare, it's clear that the realities of this case are far removed from the misleading narratives circulating online. Trisomy 18, or Edwards syndrome, is a condition often misunderstood and misrepresented. It's not just another chromosome, it's an extra copy of chromosome 18 in the cells throughout the body, affecting the development of multiple organs. This condition is often lethal, with many affected fetuses not surviving to birth. And those who are born alive? Their survival is often measured in minutes, hours, or days, not years. Contrary to what some might have you believe, the survival rate for babies born with trisomy 18 is far from 90%. In reality, studies show that the median survival time for these babies is between 4 to 14.5 days. A small percentage, between 5.6 to 8.4%, make it to their first birthday. These are not just statistics. They are heartbreaking realities for families affected by trisomy 18. Now let's talk about the mothers. Carrying a pregnancy with trisomy 18 is not without its own set of risks. Many women, as Dr. Alireza Shamshirsaz, a maternal fetal medicine specialist, points out, end up needing a cesarean section. This surgical procedure comes with its own risks, including infection, excessive bleeding, and complications in future pregnancies. For some women, the health risks posed by continuing the pregnancy can be significant, even life-threatening. And it's not just about physical health. The emotional toll of carrying a child unlikely to survive can be profound. Every medical appointment, every ultrasound can serve as a painful reminder of the impending loss. These women are not just mothers-to-be. They are also potential grievers, preparing for the loss of a child they may never get to know. Understanding trisomy 18 is essential. It's not about painting a bleak picture, but about acknowledging the real, often painful experiences of families dealing with this condition. Misrepresenting these realities does a disservice to these families and creates a false narrative that can lead to confusion and misinformation. Setting the record straight on trisomy 18 helps dispel the falsehoods that have surrounded the Texas abortion case. Misinformation can have far-reaching effects, particularly when it influences public opinion on important issues. The case of Kate Cox, a Texas woman seeking an abortion due to her child's diagnosis of trisomy 18, serves as a stark example of the ripple effects of misinformation. Misleading claims about her case, particularly a popular Instagram post, not only distorted the facts surrounding her personal situation, but also propagated false narratives about trisomy 18. For starters, the post falsely claimed that 90% of children with trisomy 18 live when given proper medical care. However, studies show that the median survival time for the condition among babies born alive is only a few days, with a small percentage living to their first birthday. This misinformation, when spread widely, can skew perceptions about the severity and reality of trisomy 18, painting an overly optimistic picture that misguides the public and those directly affected. Additionally, the post misleadingly stated that Cox did not want to go through labor or a cesarean section for a disabled child. This misrepresentation simplifies and trivializes the complex and nuanced decision that Cox and her family were forced to make. It disregards the potential risks to Cox's life, health, and future fertility that her doctors had identified. In doing so, the misinformation perpetuates harmful stereotypes about those seeking abortions, casting them in an unjustly negative light. The impact of such misinformation extends beyond individual perceptions. It can influence policy and legislation, as public opinion often drives political decisions. Misleading narratives about cases like Cox's can lead to the creation of laws based on inaccuracies, potentially causing harm to those they govern. In a world where information is at our fingertips, it's crucial to remember that not everything we read online is accurate. The spread of misinformation in this case underscores the importance of seeking out and sharing accurate, factual information. Let's strive to inform our opinions with truth, rather than letting falsehoods sway our understanding of important issues. In this whirlwind of misinformation and facts, what are the key takeaways from the Texas abortion case? We've seen how a popular Instagram post distorted the reality of Kate Cox's case and the serious condition affecting her pregnancy, trisomy 18. This case highlighted the struggle for abortion rights in Texas, where laws restrict the procedure, often leaving women in dire situations with limited options. Understanding trisomy 18 is crucial. It's a severe and often fatal condition, challenging the post's claim that 90% of kids with trisomy 18 live when given proper medical care. In reality, survival to their first birthday is a rare occurrence. Misinformation, like the inaccuracies spread about Cox's case and trisomy 18, can have dangerous consequences, creating a distorted perception of reality and potentially influencing policy and personal decisions. In a world rife with misinformation, it is our responsibility to seek out the truth, no matter how complex or uncomfortable it may be.